All right, man. Peace. So now, world light heavyweight champion and number one pound for pound fighter Andre Ward. He recently made an appearance on ESPN. Let's see what he has to say. He's going to speak about a multitude of issues. He's going to speak about his fight with Kovalev. And he's going to speak about these three fights coming up. Pacquiao against Jeff Horn, Canelo against Triple G, and Mayweather against Conor McGregor. Let's see what he has to say.
And to help us get ready for the big fight is a two-weight world champion and has been ranked as the world's best pound-for-pound boxer by the Ring magazine and the Transnational Boxing Rankings Board since March 2017. Please welcome Andre Ward to the desk. Yes. Look, we gotta get straight to just your dominance. Walk us through that TKO of Sergey Kovalev.
I mean, it was a great performance, just not for myself, but my team, Virgil, my coach, man. He got me prepared. You know, the first fight was really, really close. I found myself in a place I really don't like to be, which is the canvas. But it was early. You know, I felt like I showed the heart of a champion.
Yeah, you did show the heart of a champion, bro. There's no doubt about that. Because not only did he hit you, but you were hurt. And you got up, you showed your mettle, and you persevered. All props to you.
Got up, my coach, he kept me focused, and we took care of business. So now they're saying controversy, okay? Some people thought he won, some people thought I won. So
that was a controversial decision. All right? The first time I saw it, I thought Kovalev won. After I watched it again, I said, okay, you know what? Andre kind of dominated him down the stretch. But I could see why it was viewed as being controversial, seeing as Kovalev got the knockdown. When a champion, when the guy who's holding the belt gets a knockdown, but loses a decision like that, it's always going to be controversial. But when I looked at the fight a second time, I said, you know what? Andre probably outpointed him.
The natural thing is to do it again. So we did it again, and we just took care of business. We executed, and the fight happened just like we thought it was going to happen.
I sat there. I was at his first professional fight in San Jose.
Yes.
And, he's a little cocky. So understand who you're dealing with. Confident. And he got hit, and I saw his eyes get glassy. And that's the best thing about him, is that once that happens, it seems like that little man inside of his head straightens out and gets out. Okay, so what's going to happen? We got Pacquiao going against Horn. Pacquiao throws 1,000 punches in...
Yeah, Pacquiao throws 1,000 punches, and Horn is going to get hit with 999 of those punches. That's what's going to happen. All right? Horn is going to look like a damn lollipop head. His body's going to look like a damn lollipop. His head's going to be swole up 3 times his natural size. All right? Pacquiao going to beat the living shit out of that man. If Pacquiao can't beat Jeff Horn, he need to retire. He need to retire twice, like McGregor said Floyd did.
In 1 minute, who's going to win this fight?
I mean, in boxing, you never know. You know, anything can happen. But, you talk about that glassy-looking eye.
Yeah.
Horn may have that before the first punch is thrown, just because of the level of this fight, the magnitude of it.
And I agree. If you got a chance to see the weigh-in, they had the weigh-in on ESPN. Jeff Horn admitted that he was a little awestruck by the crowd.
And yes, it's in his home country, but he's fighting a legend in Manny Pacquiao. So first and foremost, can he get past that? Can he not have the deer in the headlights type of thing going on? If he can get past that and try to execute his game plan, he still got trouble. Because he's fighting Manny Pacquiao. And Manny Pacquiao's getting older, but he's still got a lot left in the tank. And
the last thing to go is power. And on the little bit that I saw of Jeff Horn, he has slow feet and he has slow reflexes. So he should be very, very easy for Manny to hit. Manny probably is right now about 75%, 80% the fighter that he was at his peak. But that's still more than enough to whoop Jeff Horn ass.
If Horn can pull this off, it's going to be a colossal upset.
Okay, so as long as we're working our way through big fights coming up, let's do the one everyone's talking about, Floyd versus Conor. But I don't want to do this, okay? The easy, boring conversation is it's a fraud. There's no way for Conor to do a thing. Let's do this. Tyson Fury says 35 seconds, Conor can knock him out. That's his...
Tyson Fury was probably thinking of a mound, a big mountain of coke. He was thinking of, if he dip his head in that mountain of coke, that he can pass out in 35 seconds. That's about it. I mean, Tyson Fury is a nut job. Allegedly.
That's his only path. If I put you in Conor's corner, okay? And you have a job to do, and you got to earn your money. And I'm assuming Conor wants to earn his money as well, meaning he wants to put on a fight, not just a show. How do you coach him to win that fight? I mean, what's the prayer? It's a prayer, fine. It's a Hail Mary from the 1-yard line. It's whatever it may be. We can all say those things. But what is that Hail Mary?
Well, I think, I like the fight. It's not my job to promote.
Look at Conor. This motherfucker, he think he had Chippendales. What the hell is going on?
To promote it, I don't have any vested interest, but as a fight fan, of MMA and boxing, I like the fact that Floyd is doing something unique, for number 50. I think he's earned the right to do whatever he wants to do in a boxing ring. And I applaud Conor for taking this risk and saying, look, I'm an MMA legend, but we're going to do it on your terms.
He's not taking no risk, brother. He's getting 9 figures. Even though, from what I understand, he has to give at least half of it to Dana White. If you guys remember, when they were first negotiating for the fight, when Conor was talking about it, Dana White said, I don't see how this fight is going to happen. And then all of a sudden, a light bulb went off, and Dana White was the hardest one pushing for the fight. You know why? Because obviously he was told that he would get half the proceeds, at least from Conor's side.
All boxing. So, and then when you're making upwards of $100 million, is there really any losers?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But tactically in the fight, I don't think this is going to be as easy as people think. Ultimately, I'm a Floyd Mayweather.
Easy for Floyd, as everybody thinks?
As easy for Floyd Mayweather. I'm a Floyd fan. Floyd's a legend, and he's going to take care of business. Don't get me wrong. But Floyd's 40 years old, and McGregor's a lot younger. He's naturally bigger, and if he has nothing else, he has a big left hand. He has one hand that, if he lands, can cause some trouble. Now, I don't think he's going to land that shot, but just the move.
I think that he has a chance to land it. I agree with Andre Ward. Floyd is 40 years old. We have no idea what we're going to see if you happen to watch the fight. When athletes fall off, it's not a gradual decline. They just fall off. All right? It could be from attrition. It could be from a traumatic performance, a traumatic game or event. Look at Ali. Ali was one way before Manila, and after Manila, he was pretty much done in regards to his, his fast twitch ability. All right, Ali used to have tremendous fast twitch ability with his reflexes. After that fight, he lost most of his fast twitch. So we don't know what's going to happen with Floyd. Floyd been out for 2 years. I expect him to dominate the fight, but would I be shocked if anything strange happened? No, I wouldn't. All right, as Andre Ward said, anything can happen in boxing. Anything can happen in combat sports. Shit, anything can happen in life. All right, you walk out in the street, be going to the corner store, and a damn bus could jump the curb. You never know. All right, is that what you would expect to happen? No, but could it happen? Absolutely.
Movements that Conor has, the awkward type of martial arts type of movements, it's going to take a few rounds for Floyd to kind of figure him out, and ultimately he will, but I think it'll be interesting early.
But would that be, I'm sorry, John, would that be your advice to Conor? You got to end this thing early. You can't stick around with Floyd, I assume, from round after round trying to box. You're going to have to try to end it early.
He's not going to end it early. I wouldn't focus on a knockout, because if he goes out there looking for a knockout, he can get knocked out. I think I wouldn't totally abandon the martial arts moves, like I said, some of the awkward things he does. Obviously, he can't lift his legs, and that's going to be a challenge in and of itself to not kick Floyd or grapple Floyd, like he would in an octagon. But be who you are. We're going to work on boxing, but be awkward. Be as awkward as you can. Make it ugly. Because if it's a close fight where there's an argument, Conor, it's a 6th, 7th round, it's close, who's winning? That's a win for him because nobody's giving him a shot.
Right.
But it's really, really bad for boxing if Floyd loses. You guys are already losing ratings, and people have already paid.
Ain't nothing gonna be bad for boxing if Floyd loses. Give me a break. The boxing audience is disparate from the MMA audience. Do you have a demographic that watches both? Yes, you do. Is that demographic that watches both going to stop watching boxing and only watch MMA because Floyd Mayweather lost? Absolutely not. You got these talking heads on TV that want to see the death of boxing so bad. Boxing is not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere.
Paying more attention to MMA. If all of a sudden McGregor comes up and he beats a guy that no other boxer can beat,
right,
it's going to be bad for boxing.
Well, again, let me say, that's not going to happen, first and foremost.
So you're saying...
Let me get that off the table.
Okay, good.
the goal for Conor, I believe, is to make it interesting.
Yeah, and you just said a win would be going to the 6th or 7th round.
And the way that Conor's going to make it interesting is in the build-up. And maybe even in the fight if he can land something. Hopefully for him he can land a left hand and stagger Floyd. Who knows? All right? But that's what he's going to be looking to do because he's not going to have the continuous speed that's going to be necessary to pressure Floyd for the entire fight. At least I don't think he will. Conor's strength is not sustained movement and sustained punching.
Let the people feel like they're paying for something, that it wasn't a 30-second blowout or a one-round blowout. And boxing's going to be here forever. It was here long before I got here. It's going to be here longer after I left. It's a pastime.
Yeah, as much as the potential of being bad for boxing if Floyd loses, what's definitely good for boxing is Canelo Triple G.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What are your expectations for that fight?
I think it's a good fight. I think it's going to boil down to the size difference. You know, obviously, Golovkin is a lot bigger than Canelo. Is that going to be too much? Can he take Golovkin's power? That's going to be like the biggest question for me.
Well, the biggest question for me is going to be, can Canelo use his very, very good upper body movement and head movement to avoid flush shots from Triple G and counter him and sucker him into hard flush shots himself? Because I'm not sure that Golovkin's power is necessarily better than Canelo's. I think that Canelo has fought much better competition than Golovkin has. The one fight that I've seen from Golovkin where he's fought an elite level or semi-elite level fighter in Danny Jacobs, it went the distance. He did get a knockdown, but it went the distance. And it was a disputed decision. All right? Canelo has fought, he's fought a lot of Hall of Famers. Canelo's fought a lot of Hall of Fame guys. All right? So, we'll see.
But Canelo, he doesn't get a lot of credit for his boxing ability. He's a slugger. He has an aggressive style, but he can box. He's very crafty. He's got a lot of fights. And I think he's going to show that and use that in this fight. I think it's going to be a great fight, and I think it's going to go the distance, and I think it's going to be very, very close.
Okay, it sounds like you think Triple G when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
It's tough to say. It's tough to say. Like, even when I broadcast, it's tough to pick a winner. This is boxing. Like, if you saw my first one, you get hit with one shot, that can not only change the trajectory of a fight, but your career.
This is definitely going to test Canelo's chin. And his chin really hasn't been tested as of yet. He's been in there with decent punchers, but he hasn't been in there with somebody bigger than him with skills who can punch. Triple G doesn't have great head movement, but he has a phenomenal jab. Obviously, he has a phenomenal right cross, a great left hook to the body. And from what we've seen thus far, he also has a good chin. I'm not sure how great Canelo's chin is. All right, he was in there with Shane, but Shane is like a shell of his former self. He was in there with Floyd. Floyd has very underrated power. He has good snap, but he wasn't gonna knock out Canelo. So we'll see. A lot of questions are gonna be answered in this fight.
So I just think with these matchups, it's cool to pick a winner, but it's also cool to say I don't know what's gonna happen, and that's the beauty of it.
You got this thing. They said you're pound to pound, probably the best boxer in
That's
the world
what I
right
heard.
now. You heard that right now? How do you plan on keeping that? Because you sound great. You know what I mean? You sound great. Your teeth are great. Your lips are in the right place.
Not ashy.
Not ashy. Your head not. How are you going to keep that going? Like, what are you going to do? You want to stay a boxer? When you win, are you going to move up and get that added weight like Knockout Tony and become a heavyweight? What are you going to do?
I'm in the process. Every fight, like after the last fight, a lot of people are like, oh my God, he said the R word, retirement.
Right.
And really, that's the process that I go through after every fight.
Yeah, I feel you, brother. But let's be for real. You were trying to use that as a negotiating ploy against Kovalev for the rematch, because you wanted them to budge off the bullshit that Kathy Duval was trying to run on you. So let's be for real. That's why you went public with the retirement threats for the first time. And I understand you're an intelligent brother. You have a lot of options. You can do a lot of commentating, analysis work on HBO, ESPN. We know that already. And those things are always going to be there for you. But you were talking retirement after the first Kovalev fight because you were trying to swing the pendulum in your direction for the negotiations for the second fight.
I've had an injury history. It'll be 23 years that I've been in the sport come December. So every fight, I process how I feel. I talk to my wife. I check my body. How do you think you can keep going? I just shared it with the world. I was just honest. So that wasn't anything new. I just happened to share it with everybody. I'm going to go through the same process now. I'm going to process how I feel, I'm less than 2 weeks away, and my coach is talking about fighting heavyweights. I'm like, can I get a week? Can I take a vacation? But that's how the box.
Well, brother, you're the one who said you wanted to go to heavyweight and win a heavyweight title. Don't try to act like people are pressuring you. You know what you said. Supposedly you're going to move to cruiserweight and fight Tony Bellew for the cruiserweight title, which is life imitating art. Because for those of you who saw the movie Creed with Michael B. Jordan, Andre Ward and Tony Bellew were supposed to fight in that movie.
Boxing world works. They're about what's next. So I'm gonna let my team work on opportunities, and I'm gonna just kind of process and see how I feel.
Such a rapper. He gonna let his team work on.
Whatever you decide, if you ever want a future in television, you've kind of proven that. You hold that down.
Oh, Cassidy trying to throw the draws. Watch out. He got a wife and 3 kids. Don't, or 4 kids. How many kids he got? He just got some draw. Hey, Andre, watch out. You got some panties on your forehead.
And actually, you're going to be all over our airwaves tonight because you're back for our prime time special with Stephen A. and Max.
Yeah, me and Stephen A. got to talk.
Oh, believe that. You and Stephen A. will talk. He'll have a lot to say since he's been on vacation.
I would love to see Andre Ward bust Stephen A. in his big-ass forehead just once. See Stephen A. Goodness gracious. Brother, why'd you do that? You had the unmitigated gall.
So tune into that tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, so now Andre SOG Ward, he was also on with Stephen A. and Max later that day. So let's see what he had to say.
Yeah, but Floyd Mayweather isn't the only undefeated boxer with over 30 fights. Our next guest is a perfect 32-0 and the light heavyweight champion of the world. And we welcome in Andre Ward to the show.
Thank you.
Big time. What's going on, man?
Hey, I'm trying, man.
I heard you were looking for me. I wasn't planning on being here tonight, but I heard Andre Ward was looking for me.
By the way, and unlike Floyd, he's got a gold medal, too.
There we go. Now.
Look at Max talking slick about Floyd Mayweather. Everybody knows that Floyd got robbed in the 96 Olympics, Max. Your uncle probably was one of the people that robbed him. We know how you Caucasian Jews get down. Trying to take every bit of change out of everybody's pocket. I said, take Floyd's gold. Give him bronze. We could take the gold to the jewelry shop and melt it down and sell it for rings.
Now, what's the problem? What's
no problem. We rectified that 2 weeks ago.
That's
we took care of that. But I just heard, some things that were said in the crowd. We had a lot of people there the first fight, and a little bit of an overreaction, I think, to what was going on. But the way I've done things my whole career is keep my head down.
Right.
Have a blue collar mentality. I hear what I need to hear, but I keep working, man. It's about getting it done, and we did that.
Let me say this. Let me put the.
What did you say that?
I'm gonna tell you. First fight.
Yeah.
He fought Kovalev. I thought that. He won. He lost like the first 5 or 6 rounds. He got dropped in the second round.
I thought he won a couple of those early rounds.
Okay. I'm answering your question. I thought you won the last 6 rounds. But so I had it even, but the knockdown, I gave Kovalev the edge.
That's reasonable.
Second fight, no question. I thought you was gonna knock him out, but I did believe that you should have been allowed to finish him off. I thought the stoppage was relatively premature.
No, it wasn't. The stoppage was not premature. Believe me, he was about to body that man. Before the fight, Kovalev was talking about killing him and taking him from his family. Andre Ward was ready to body that man in the ring. And if you watch the stoppage in slow motion, Kovalev was saying, "Help me," to the ref. All right? When he was hunched over, he was yelling at the ref, "Help me." There's only one way for the ref to help your ass, and that's to stop the fight.
For a guy of Kovalev's magnitude, knockout power, never lost to anybody but you. And my attitude was, excuse me, these are body shots. It's not like he was getting knocked, even though that right hand is definitely staggered.
But Andre, that's a good point. If the ref lets it continue.
Yeah.
Stephen A. clearly has never been hit with a body shot.
Yeah.
In other words, by stopping it, the ref doesn't do you any favors, right? Because now Kovalev is claiming that he could have gone on, and other people are saying it was a low blow. Whereas if they just let it continue,
that was my only issue.
No, that's in hindsight, but at the end of the day, I take it how I can get it.
Sure.
This is sport of boxing, and I understand that piece of it. It's like I had a conversation with Paulie Malignaggi, and I told Paul, I said, Paul, you can't be more upset about this than me. Like, I get it. You could have had us. And let me tell you, if Tony Weeks would have let that go on, it would have got ugly.
Exactly. Believe me, Andre Ward was ready to finish that man. And when I say finish him, I mean put him in a casket if need be. There's no doubt about that when you watch that fight.
Period. So that would have been great, but Kovalev turned. He didn't want to fight anymore. And in this business, that's worse than getting knocked out. Because
he was a bully. When he couldn't knock you out, because he puts all his faith in his power, when he couldn't knock you out, he knew he wasn't going to outbox you. So he said, he said, oh, fuck this. I'm going to go back to Mother Russia.
You go out on your shield, you can respect that, you move on. But to turn like that and then make excuses, come on.
Did you expect that? Did you expect that he would react like that?
I did. Like I said before the fight, I saw his stomach going in and out when the ref brought him together. I already knew he was full of anxiety. I already knew he was full of nervousness. He most likely did not believe he was ready for the fight, no matter how much shit he was talking. Mentally or physically, he was not ready. And when you're intimidated by your opponent's skill level, that leads to a feeling of helplessness. You have to hope and pray that you can get lucky. And when you're in the ring with fighters as skillful as Andre Ward or Floyd Mayweather or a younger Bernard Hopkins, the luck aspect is extremely minimal. All right? With regular fighters, even fighters that might be better than the opponent, you might have a 15% luck margin. With a Mayweather, you might have a 0.1% luck margin. Right? Like Shane Mosley, he got as lucky as any fighter would ever get against Floyd. He landed 2 flush overhand rights. Shane Mosley, a guy who's been known to hit as hard as guys 2 weight divisions above him. He still couldn't even knock him down. Right? After that, his luck margin was at 0. That's how it works when you fight guys, elite level skill fighters like that. Kovalev knew he was done. After about the 4th or 5th round, he knew he had no chance.
After losing the way that he lost?
Oh, of course. He showed us the first chapter already after the first fight. Like, I've been doing this 23 years come December. And I said everything. If anybody was listening before the fight, I said I fought 100 Kovalevs before. Not stylistically, but the mentality. This big monster. And that's cool. He's a good fighter. Probably one of the best I've fought. But the mentality, he showed me a lot of weakness after the first fight. It's one thing to say, I think I won. I'm coming back to get that. I respect it. But all the excuses and the this and that, it showed me a major weakness, and I knew he had some turn.
Well, now, before the first fight, I thought, well, Kovalev's never really faced adversity in his recent career like you would provide him. Andre might stop him in this fight. People thought I was crazy. But that fight could have gone either way, and it went your way. But you never had a professional fight that could have gone either way until that fight. What made you think who, because you've been matched very tough throughout your career, have not scored a lot of knockouts on the world-class level, what made you think that you could not...
Shutouts, though.
Yes,
For
you did.
sure.
Yes,
By the way, this is the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world right now.
I believe so.
So there's
a lot
a
of
reason
different
for
ways
that.
you can get it.
No doubt. But I'm not asking that. I'm asking what made you think that the one guy who came closest to giving you a loss, you could knock him out after you hadn't been scoring knockouts?
I mean, just with all due respect to the commentary and everything leading up to the fight, we just don't believe the hype. Like, I've been groomed since I've been 9 years old to be a champion, to win a gold medal, be a national champion, then, a world-class amateur, and then a professional. And that's always something my father and Virgil talked to me about, and I've had moments as an amateur where I let a guy's reputation get me. It hasn't been often. And I made up my mind as a young man that I'm never going to let that happen again. If you beat me, you're going to have to beat me. So I know when I'm facing a real dude. Like when I signed up to fight, Edison Miranda, the guy I fought, top contender, I knew it was going to be a long night. Certain guys, but him...
That was your first real world-class opponent, and he could punch.
Edison Miranda was a great puncher, but he really didn't have much else other than that great punch. But he was a phenomenal puncher. Brother from Colombia, I believe he is.
Punch.
One of my toughest fights.
No question.
But I knew this guy had the ability, he had the power, but his mentality was weak. I knew it. I've just been around the sport.
Yeah, he is a quitter.
Sport long enough.
Listen, well, first of all, let me co-sign to that #1 pound for pound in the world. Ain't no dispute here. I got to give you that love, no doubt.
Yeah.
Floyd Money Mayweather was once considered that, retired, getting ready to fight Conor McGregor. I was listening to you this morning, and I don't know if Max knows this, you seem to side with me more so than Max. Max don't believe the man will land a punch, and I'm not saying you said otherwise. You, however, are thinking about the fact that this man has power, he's unorthodox, and you'll at least give him a 1% chance, which is what I give him. Max gives him 0% chance. Explain to this man.
Max gives him a 0% chance because Max is your normal, he's your normal sadistic Caucasian Jew who believes that, he believes that, you know, there was a premise that existed back in the 1800s that so-called black people didn't feel pain, that they didn't feel fear, that they were super strong, that like they were like supermen. That's how that was the belief of the day. Right? That's why they would oftentimes subject blacks to medical experimentation. Max still holds on to that, you know, to that core belief, particularly towards many black athletes, especially in combat sports. He has very, very little respect for the fact that both fighters train as hard as they can. To say that one guy won't even land a punch, I mean, it's so ridiculous. Like Conor McGregor is, you know, Joe Blow off the street, you know, some guy off the street, 5'8", you know, 220 pounds who smokes every day. Like Conor McGregor is a world-class combat athlete. He's going to land a punch. All right.
Explain to this man why you felt that way.
I just think with Floyd's layoff, I think the age, and I think, you know, stylistically, I think it's going to take a few rounds for Floyd to you know, just process what he needs to process.
I don't know if it's going to take a few rounds. I would say maybe within the first round and a half, Floyd will have seen what he needs to see from Conor to know what he needs to do.
McGregor's not going to come like a normal stand-up fighter. You can tell when he's hitting the bag, just the type of movement, some martial arts type of movement. Floyd's not going to run in there. He's going to take his time. So that's going to take 3 or 4 rounds. And then you're going to see the master take over. You're going to see why he is who he is.
Hold up, time out. Did you say 3 or 4 rounds?
Yeah, I'll give him 3 or 4 rounds.
I'll give Floyd the first minute and a half to be careful. And then after 90 seconds, he will do whatever he wants. He's going to want to give everyone a show. He's going to start talking to the commentators ringside as he's beating McGregor as he pleases, and he will knock him out whenever he wants.
It's not a video game. And
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Max Kellerman has no respect for combat athletes. All right. Am I saying that the fight is going to go back and forth? Absolutely not. But to act like Floyd Mayweather at 40 years old is not going to get hit at all by a professional combat athlete, and after a minute and a half is going to be talking to the announcers, and like, this is not 2005 like when Floyd fought Henry Brucellas. That's who Max is thinking of. Floyd fought a fighter named Henry Brucellas back in 2005 who was Miguel Cotto's friend. He fought him in Miami, I believe it was, and Andre Ward happened to be there at the fight in the audience. And Floyd started talking to the commentators. He started talking about, I believe that the Falcons were playing somebody in the playoffs, and he said he liked Michael Vick and something like that. Something along those lines he was saying. But this was well into the fight, after about the 6th or 7th round, after he kind of figured out his opponent's cadence. But Floyd is not that guy anymore. Floyd is not, some 28-year-old super athlete anymore. He's 40 years old, and he's still a super athlete, but being a super athlete at 40 is totally different from one at 28. All right, but Andre's picking up on what I picked up on, which is Max's total detachment from the human aspect of sports and combat. Something Max has never, subjected himself to in his life. He's nothing but a fanboy, a pseudo-expert fanboy, and a super liberal.
You got to realize Floyd's been off. See, when Floyd's in a groove, you'll get that talking to the commentator type of thing because it's just flowing easy. It's going to take a couple rounds to get that rust off. He's not 30. He's 40.
Thank you, sir. It's a point I just made. Thank you.
I'm 33, and I feel it. So at 40, I know he's feeling it.
But he's stepping into the ring with a guy who hasn't had a fight since he was an amateur,
but it's a guy that
didn't win any medals in the Olympics.
He's a legend in the sport. He's got a country on his back, and he's not trying to lay down in front of the whole world.
Exactly. Conor McGregor is a proud dude. Conor McGregor is not going to go out like some chump. He's going to go out in a blaze. I promise you that. He's a guy with great heart and great natural ability. Right? He's a guy that if he would have stuck with the sport, from 8, 9, 10 years old, who knows what he'd be right now. But he didn't.
Floyd's going to have to clip him and knock him out.
And I guess
And
what
wish
I'm
you
saying,
would win round.
hold on, Max.
I don't know, but
Hold
it's
on,
gonna
Max.
happen.
I guess
It's gonna happen.
Dre, I guess what I'm trying to say to Max is this. I believe everything that Max is saying in terms of the skill discrepancy.
Of course.
My point is that, damn, anybody could get lucky. I mean, if you're...
Exactly. That's what I was pointing at earlier. To say that a guy with two hands who's training every day for 4 or 5 hours a day has no chance, like, come on. You know, at least get a guy 1% chance. You know, Floyd at 40, Conor at, 28, 29, however old he is, focused. I give Conor somewhere between 5 and 10% chance.
If you just throw a haymaker, I mean, you swing, and not only that, you're more so you can cheat with the elbow shots. You've been hit with elbows before. You got anything. That's all I'm saying.
That's why he's 100 to 1 underdog instead of 1,000,000 to 1
Okay,
underdog.
that's fine.
At 7 to 1. That's what I want to know.
You said 0.
At 7 to 1. Do you know the kind of value bet Mayweather is? Like, everyone's like, oh, the value's on McGregor. No, it's not. The value's on Floyd. 7 to 1 for 1,000,000 to 1 shot.
Bottom line, we're talking about 0% and 1%. So what are we talking about? What we know 100%, as you guys said,
He's the
pound
man.
for pound
Thank you.
champion. You and the man.
appreciate
Thank you
it.
so
No
much
doubt. You know
for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, coming up.
Yeah, Cassidy's like, thank you so much for joining us today. And by the way, my room number is such and such. You can join me there too. But anyway, I just wanted to bring this to everyone's attention. Mr. Andre Ward at the round table. He did a very good job as he always does in his analysis. So peace.